A new job, losing weight, finding love. Do you have a list of goals that seem to be constantly just out of your reach? If so, you might be guilty of self-sabotage. It's a problem a lot of people deal with, and Dr. Judy wrote a book called Stop Self-Sabotage. Yes. It's all about this topic. And Judy, you say even successful people
absolutely
sabotage ourselves.
It's a universal phenomenon, okay? Even successful people will trip up from time to time. It's actually biologically rooted because we have two drives, attaining rewards and avoiding threat. If those are in balance, everything's cool. But sometimes we start to prioritize avoiding threat. And when you prioritize that, you don't go after those rewards that you really want anymore.
I think we're all afraid to look inward and admit some of the things we're doing to get in our own way. So let's just say we're all willing to look deep inside and acknowledge we're getting in our own way. How do we start?
And want to improve.
Yes.
And do better.
Okay,
we all do.
That's right. So in my research and experience, I found that there's pretty 4 factors that really lead people to self-sabotage. And I developed an acronym to help us remember because as I get older, I start to have more difficulty memorizing things. And this acronym is very easy. It's LIFE. L stands for low or shaky self-esteem. So that means that maybe you're just not that confident about an area of your life. Self-esteem can take lots of different colors. It's not a holistic self-esteem sometimes. It's like your athletic self-esteem or your romantic relationship self-esteem. And so if that's a little low or shaky, that's gonna get in the way. I stands for internalized beliefs. This is that parental chatter that when you were a child, you got certain messages from important adults in your life. And these internalized beliefs, when you become an adult, they become your internal chatter and you actually start to personalize it. F is for fear of the unknown or fear of change. That's a very common thing for human beings to kind of fear that just a little bit because we want to be able to be masters of our universes, right? And yet, when there's change on the horizon, you don't know exactly what's coming, it will sometimes hold people back. And the last one is excessive need for control. This is my favorite one because it's the type A's, the overachievers, the go-getters. I mean, I see myself as a type A person, so I say that lovingly. And my husband's a type A person, so you can imagine the kinds of conflicts we get into in our household about really silly things. But excessive need for control is big because if you don't see that you can control everything every step of the way, you might not be willing to take that step and just go experimental. And that, I think, happens a lot with things like romantic relationships where there's a whole other person in here.
You have to learn to compromise.
Yeah, you do.
And so I know everyone in the audience, as well as Drew and I, took a quiz, right? And it forces you to really look deep within yourself, not so much at what you do or how you act, but what motivates your actions. And I found it fascinating going through these questions. So how did we do? How did we do? Because you don't really know when you're taking, is there right or wrong?
Right. There is no right or wrong. It's just about, again, your personality traits, your way of seeing life and how you handle problems and how you solve problems, right? So for both of you, and I feel like all of your patients should be very happy about this, is that you guys both spiked on excessive need for control. Great. I want my doctors to be control freaks and to do amazing job, be super meticulous, right? Yeah. So that's good. That's good. But every once in a while, you know, it might cause you some difficulties here and there because of that. And then Dr. Travis, in addition, you also had a little bit of the internalized beliefs, you know, maybe some critical parents or important adults as a kid. And so now you're like always trying to force yourself, you know, that perfectionistic piece of yourself, right? Like, this is not good enough, this is not good enough. And some of it's motivating, but other times it can kind of get in the way.
Yeah, I
Carry on.
I don't see either one of us like being in fear of change or
No,
trying
you guys
something
are great
new.
about that.
And you know,
You guys certainly don't have low self-esteem either.
No. So I think that's right on. I think it puts us where we are as people.
And the audience,
how did everybody do?
Partook, right?
Yeah. And so now that you know where your self-sabotage switch might be, and you know what these factors are playing in terms of like how you approach a goal, now we have to look at how we set goals. So the most important thing that you guys need to remember is that when we set goals, we have to root them in our values. Values are what you want your life to stand for. They're what you want to be known for. When you die, how do you want to be remembered? And they're not things that you can check off a box, right? But if your goals are guided by your values, then you're going to have more motivation to go after them and to continue to have that willpower even when things get tough. And people don't set specific enough goals.
So people should set SMART goals.
SMART goals, yes. And SMART goals is an acronym. S stands for specific, right? So make the goal as specific as possible. M stands for measurable. So it should be something that's observable, something that you can actually measure change. And then A stands for assignable. So who's gonna do it, right? Is it you? Is it somebody else? Is it both you and somebody else? R is realistic.
Is a realistic goal, occasionally I just want Drew to invite me over to stay in his house? Is that
Totally realistic.
That can be done.
Yet you have to give up control because that doesn't depend on you. It depends on Dr. Ordon. And then the last thing is time related. So again, don't kind of just let the goal fester in the ether. Make a proximal time frame for it. Is it 2 days? Is it a month? Is it 3 months? But make sure that all of these things are in place so that you can actually understand what it looks like when you achieve that goal.
And you know what else can set people on a better path?
What?
A good surprise.
Oh yeah, I have a surprise for all of you. You guys are all going home with a copy of my book, Stop Self-Sabotage.
We're also doing an online giveaway of some autographed copies of Stop Self-Sabotage, as well as an online quiz so you can identify your self-sabotage factors. So if you're interested, please visit thedoctorstv.com for a chance to win.